Here's a wee poem for you by Walt Whitman that I find very helpful at times like this in the world. O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, of myself forever reproaching myself, for who more foolish than I, and who more faithless? Of eyes that vainly crave the light, of the objects mean, of the struggle ever renewed, of the poor results of all, of the plodding and sordid crowds I see around me, of the empty and useless years of the rest, with the rest, me intertwined. The question, O me, so sad, recurring. What good amidst these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists, an identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse.
Sunday morning, I got a restless feeling in my mind. Hey, welcome to this month's Authentic Living video, and if you're on the open space, then you'll see the whole thing. So the first part of this will be the Authentic Living stuff like last month and the month before, and then part two will be only available to open space members in the open space. So if you want to see the whole thing, join the open space, baby. You know, it's a little global community of people trying to live in true consciousness, in the life of true self, the light of true self. And given what we're talking about today, I can never the moments I've doubted the validity of the open space have just been brushed aside completely, and I see what we're doing as being more vital than ever. Yeah, listen, so I put some footage at the beginning of this, walking in the mountains, and maybe some other bits and pieces. I don't know what I'm going to fling in from the camera, but whatever I've got, I've thrown in front of this. Because, and there was a Walt Whitman poem, wasn't there, as well? Oh me, oh life, which is great, just a great poem. Because most people only watch my videos for 2 minutes 42 seconds, according to the analytics on the Tube of You. So I thought to myself, you know what, since this material is definitely not for them, what we're talking about, I'll put that on there. I'll do my usual kind of meandering kind of beginning, and hopefully by the time we actually get to what we're talking about, they've gone. Because this is not for them, basically. Nothing wrong with them, they're so welcome, but I'm not one for making videos that I'm trying to hook you, I'm not trying to sell you anything, I'm not trying to capitalize you, and I'm not part of the time and attention economy either. You either understand and feel what's going on here, or you don't. It's as simple as that. And if you don't, that's not a problem in any way. As I say, I'm only here because I'm living a life that is based in the light of true self as best I can as a human being on the planet at this time. And I just thought all this work that has kind of spiraled out over the last decades is that there must be others out there, and I assume that there are, you see. So when I talk, I'm talking directly to you. And today I don't even know how to broach this subject. It'll be in the title of the video, of course. And I've taken so long to make this video because I keep thinking, what do I say? But what keeps coming up is, how do we practice? Now that we know what's in the Epstein files, now that we see people like Deepak Chopra for who they are, when if somebody like myself in the past has said something about mindfulness being a con, that all this spiritual stuff that is put forward that people are believing in is because we're desperate to hook ourselves onto stuff and find meaning in our lives. Of course we are, but we're being kind of capitalized upon. That material is actually stolen material, sort of colonized material that is just got all the real stuff taken out of it, and you're provided with stuff that just keeps you running on the hamster wheel, and there's no buts about the horrors of this. There's no explaining away of this that we can do. And so I thought that there might be one person out there, maybe two, who also is thinking to themselves or feeling in their heart, well, how do I practice? If you've been on that hamster wheel, I've seen people give 30, 40 years of their lives, their whole lives, to believing in some process that some manipulator has cooked up, stolen yoga with the soul of yoga stripped out of it, stolen meditation practices, but with no reference to the light of true self within it at all. I mean, people, I remember a period a few years ago where people even stopped saying namaste at the end of yoga videos, or in yoga classes, and started claiming it into kind of I can change it into any way I want. I'll drink wine and do my yoga and all sorts of bullshit. And so, we've given ourselves over into these practices that breed a false sense of individuation, and a crooked version of individuality without any action and movement towards interdependence in any way, and of seeing ourselves as the people, the human beings of the earth, and stewarding the earth in our time that we're here, and so the content that is revealed of those files, I'm on YouTube right here in this bit, so hey Pigeon 2, I have to tread so carefully with what I'm going to say. But the thing is, I'm going to say some things very, very straight. And because of consciousness, which is actually what all this is about, and the light of true self, call it God if you will, the soul. I just call it the soul, and awareness. That actually, unless you actually are experiencing that in some way, you won't hear a damn thing I'm saying. You'll have switched off by now, or you'll be thinking, what's this guy on about? So it's actually not a problem to talk directly about these things, because they just can't hear it. You can actually say the truth in a crowded room and no one hears it. Because actually what they're listening to is themselves, and looking to pursue their methods, basically thinking that they're going to get something out of it that somehow leads to some kind of salvation, So how do I tackle this? How do we talk about this? As I say, I'm not going to talk about the content of the files, because it's just it's not beyond belief, right? They're not beyond belief. Those things are probably being presented to us in ways that have words like demonic and monstrous and things attached. But actually, what is really important to understand is that it's people doing these things. Not just have done these things because those files are 20 years and 30 years to 2018 or whatever, but it's still going on right now. Just because we're talking about the things revealed doesn't mean that those same things are not going on. And you may have the privilege perhaps of not having to think about those things, you know. Whereas if it was somebody who looked like me who had instigated those things or was part of all that world, there'd be a lot being said, you know. Nothing much will be done about this, you know. What will happen is that they're waiting for your outrage and anger to simply dissipate, and these things will become normalized into the way of the world, you know. Oh, they happened, move on from it, you know. We need to, this is more important, we've got to go and kill those people over there because they, you know, say these words, meanwhile we are doing this, but that doesn't matter, you know. It's part of the human dimension. So we need to first of all perhaps look at the human dimension, because you may not have thought of this. I don't want this to be an instructive video. Oh, poo. Because I hate that stuff. But the Buddhists, the Tibetan Buddhists in particular, have this thing called the Tibetan Wheel of Life, or the Wheel of Life. And it's actually a really useful model. The Wheel of Life is held by this demon, right? Mahakala. And he's often thought of being death. And there are 6 realms within the human dimension, right? And so you get the gods at the top, or the people who live like gods. Then you get the normal human realms, you get people who live more animalistically and so on. You get the demon Ashvara realm, which is what we're going to be talking about in a moment. And then there's a couple of others. And then at the middle, there's a smaller wheel within the middle, and there is a chicken or a cockerel, a pig, and a snake, and those represent greed, hatred, and delusion, driving the 6 realms, which drives the outside ring of the 12 chains of conditional living, which is life without awareness, basically, and then awareness being the way off the wheel, or the way to not inhabit the wheel in a way that is just like eternal greed, hatred, and delusion. So if we look into the Ashvara realm, which is the very bottom realm, these are the people we're talking about, okay? So your Epsteins and your, insert the names that you need to insert, okay? Deepak Chopra, so on, so on, so on, blah, 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 blah. Just trying not to get banned. I did a video a few years ago about the use of the Hegelian dialectic in British politics, and I have had no Google AdSense ever since. I get nothing for my videos. So there you go. But anyway, so this would probably do the same, although they can't take it away twice, can they? They can pull the video down though and get rid of the channel. The Ashvaras are these sort of bottom of the human pile creatures, right? And they dominate, they lumber about, they make war, they, you know, you think of that picture by William Blake where there's this kind of monstrous sort of deformed human creature looking like a demon sort of eating a child like this, you know. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. And so it's easy to say that's demonic and I cannot look, and what can we do anyway, and how do we stay angry, and I'm so angry about all of this. But actually anger is not good fuel. Anger is useful as a kind of the wake up, but then you need to bring consciousness, you know. But we're still dealing with a human dimension. Now the problem with the Ashvara realm is that even if you, my friend, were whatever you want to call it, if you were, you know, the son or the daughter of God, him or herself, if you were a true, fully enlightened being, a fully illuminated being, if you went in there, all they would try and do is smash the light. They try and kill any light that there is. And in the traditional picture, they're just doing all the terrible things that they do, and it's all of the terrible things that you know. And there is just like a Buddha at the side. I'm just checking the battery here, even though I can't see with my shades on. There's a Buddha kind of in the background, and he is just kind of gently radiating the light in the hopes that some of it may penetrate or remind one that there is another way. But mostly they're completely locked in. And if you try to do anything in a noisy way or shine the light more brightly or something like that, then they come to kill you, you know. And we've seen this, you know. I mean, all you got to do is think about our brother Jesus and what they did with his poor body, you know. And it was, you know, all legal. It was the people in power who did that, you know. It wasn't some mob. It was the people in power who did that, and so much. So, if we think about the Ashvaras, they still have minds that work, and the entire goal of the Ashvara realm is to lower everything to its level. You could look at it in this way. It wants you to accept them as they are and to lower yourself to that level. So they want to lower everything, right? They want to lower everything down to their level, and actually us to be the same as them. And so you can individually resist, of course, but you need to see the mechanisms that are in play. As I said, everything that pretty much we are operating through right now is designed to do that. So what they've learned is the Ashvaras. What they've learned, it's a good name for them, isn't it? What the Ashvaras have learned is that you take control of all of the systems that the other realms use. And that way you can bring everything in your direction. So the education system, the political system, the media, television, of course, you know. If you think about, do your own research on this, please. If you look at who owns all the pornographic websites, and how we bind ourselves through almost sex magic by repetition, you know, into those things, and how we give our energy to that. The whole idea is to get us to lower ourselves, you know, and to you know, demean ourselves, and then to attach through very basic energy, as it were, in war and so on. Now, I'm not saying, you know, there should be more nookie in the world, and beautiful nookie, intimacy. That's what we need, intimacy and proper connection. And however, you know, the animus or anima in you, if you are aware of it, loves to express itself. If you know your animus or anima, and the dimensions of that, then, you know, get your happy kinky on, baby, you know. But with love and awareness, you know, and intimacy and so on. If you don't know it, then of course then it becomes problematic. And so every system, right? Now, when I say every system, you might think, yes, but I know I'm wise to these things, and so I'm not going to do that, and I am like this and I am like that. But there's still problems here, you see. So one of the techniques that has been invented, for example, is division. So you might call it deference politics. We will always defer to certain people who show themselves, say, with the most victimhood, or men and women are separated. Women are good, men are bad. Young is good, old is bad. What right have I got? Look at this man with his, you know, who lives in a brown body. How dare he speak? You know, so those people, they're evil. You know, we're the good guys. Divide, 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 divide. And the thing is that we do it to ourselves. We do it to ourselves because we want to identify into groups and so on, into tribes, and we've been told that tribalism, rather than an illuminated global humanity, is the way to go. And you see this with the increasing of borders and so on as well. And then all the lies and stories that go with the need for those things and monitoring you and so on. So we bring a lot of this on ourselves. And within that management, the systems then of rebellion, resistance against that lowering of ourselves, we actually want to be good people. But over the hundreds, if not thousands of years, the systems that we try to protest through are part of the system. And they're used as ways of harvesting energy. So if you get 1 million people marching, right, and you're an ashvara, standing at your palatial window, and you see the 100,000, 200,000 people down below protesting and so on, those people bind in solidarity, absolutely. A message is perhaps communicated to the oppressed. But does it stop one person being or? And then the person, the ashvara standing at the window, is literally jacking off, harvesting your energy, you know? So the systems of protest we have actually feed the ashvaras themselves. We've been told that we have to debate with these people, that this is an opinion, and that is an opinion, and then therefore we can debate it. That system in itself will never lead us anywhere at all. You can win a debate because you're civilized. Oh yes, you're so civilized. And we're so civilized that we can watch children eaten before our eyes, you know? And so on. And blood sacrifice has always been a part of this thing. So, this video's not going to make it out, is it? Dear God, John, you should just keep your mouth shut and just shine the light where you can to people who can actually feel that, you know? That's what I try to do all the time. I just try to actually show coherence and resonance and illumination in a non-egoic way. Do my own practice and just hope that somebody sees. But sometimes you've actually got to talk straight, you know? So we fear being the bad guy. They'll even say to you, you'll get in trouble, you'll be arrested if you protest this, if you do this, if you do that. How dare you? You are as bad as those people because you are resisting us, you know? I mean, that's going on right now, and you know that to be the case. So you're saying, Mr. Siddique, what the F do we do? Right? What the F do we do? As if I know what we do. I don't know. But I do know some things. And I do know some things. And you know. And the minute I say them, you'll know that you know. And that is how you know that the light is true. You know? You don't know the thing, and then somebody shares the thing with you, and you go, oh, I knew that all along. That means that you knew it all along, that the light is in you. The light is, you know? So there are 3 things, right? There are 3 things that make a difference. 1, coherence. Your coherence. Now, you can be coherent with a negative system, or you can be coherent with awareness, consciousness, the light of true self. That's what I'm talking about. So you do your practice not as a way of hiding from the world, but practice is in its true sense by feeling the light of awareness within yourself in even the smallest form, and then allowing congruence or coherence structures from your practice to populate into your life, and then to connect with others also doing the same. Hence we created the open space in order to have a group of people practicing in this way, and that is the biggest resistance of all. Actually, that is the actual heart of the entire matter, right? The resonance of somebody practicing in true self, in the light of true self, which is not an imagining, it's not mantras, it's not willfulness, it's not striving to be a better person. It is a knowing of the light of your true self through the simplest of practices, which we share here all the time. but everybody's looking for the special thing and the thing that's going to make them money and all this sort of stuff, you know, or get them seen in some way. I just wish I could just be a man of just disappear from the world some days, quite honestly, and just do my practice and be with my family. I understand that entirely. But the resonance of the light of true self doesn't need to be shouted for, but we can actually use it, right? We use it because it has the strongest force of all. And so when it actually moves through the human body and in through the human life in a way that doesn't join in with the systems, and that might mean that you don't watch TV anymore, that you unsubscribe from all streaming services, it can be small tiny things. It might be how you choose your shopping, that you don't buy stuff from certain places, you know, that you decide just to have a very clean life, you know, you don't drink sodas, and you eat living food, and you do some exercise, and you do your light of true self practice, you know, and you go, maybe you're a teacher, and you go and you try and shine a bit of light and practice in the education system. The education system is the most indoctrinal system that we have, you know. This is how it all is put into each of us so young, within the family and then the kind of a school system, that it's operating in the deep unconscious, you know. We're going to talk about that in the open space segment after this. So there is one tool that brings all this together, and it's the one that we won't do, because it actually means you have to go against the person who thinks they're good, which is yourself. You have to transgress. Transgression is the only tool. You have to transgress the system. Now, transgress does not mean reactionariness. It does not mean rioting. It does not mean, it might, though. If that's all you got, it might. It means actually understanding and using the legal system from a true human place, you know, as best we can. But if that system is against you, as it was, say, in slavery times, in what we call the United States, commonly called the United States, it's not really called that, of course, because we just give things names, you know, they're not what they're really called, and so the mystery is destroyed. You transgress. If a law allows you to keep people as chattel, you transgress. If a law is allowing for children to be hurt, you transgress in any way that you can. But the more light you bring into your transgression, the better. And the more we actually are connected together, the better. You know, those of us who are seeking to live from the light of true self. Making this video is transgression of everything that somebody who is a spiritual teacher is supposed to say. You know, you're supposed to say, shanty shanty, everything's all okay, everybody's on their own path. It's not. It never has been okay. This is how we've arrived here, because that has been used against us, you know. I was so caught for years with all of this stuff as well. I got caught, just like everybody else. So we're not being reactionary. We are learning transgression. If you want to read about transgression from somebody who is a far better person than I, read Teaching to Transgress by Bell Hooks. It's about the necessity of transgression within education as a way of true learning. Knowing yourself, knowing even just, not even in a spiritual way, but even knowing yourself in a kind of, you know, as I said earlier in this video, if you express what we might call a masculine sexuality, then know your anima. Know the dimensions of your anima, not just the nice bits of it. Know the shadow parts of your anima and learn them. It doesn't mean to say that that you then act on that. It means that by knowledge of them, you have them, and then you can enjoy the fruits of the whole thing, as it were, the best you can. If you express in a feminine sexuality, you learn about animus within yourself, Just go pick up some Carl Jung, do some reading, feel into yourself, do a bit of internal family systems or something like that, and, dim the lights, light the candles, and have a jolly old time. That's the thing. So coherence, resonance, and transgression are actually the real tools of resistance, but applied without the ego of resistance. So it becomes like a true rebellion. Your life itself is the light of rebellion. Now, the other thing we get caught with as spiritual people who are practicing sacredness, is that we think we do this and everything should change all at once. It's taken thousands of years of that craziness, that distortion of humanity, of the Ashvaras dominating through brute force, through control of the systems, and so on, to get us to this. So it's going to take time. But you can work on that 80-year theory, where the span of a human life in history is what it takes to kind of change something. And if you look at the systems that are operating against the constructive illumination of humanity, they use the 80-year cycle. They use the 80-year cycle. So we have to look at their tools, learn their tools, and then use the tools for the right, rather than our disintegration and the disintegration of the planet and all other forms of human life and nature and everything. These things the Ashvaras do not give a flying whatever about things. Maybe they do. They'll say, "Oh, protect the trees, but kill all these children," But within that, you're dividing and conquering, of course. Marcus Aurelius, of course, said, "Beware of bread and circuses." And Walt Whitman reminds us that the powerful play goes on, that life exists and identity, and that you may contribute a verse. So, as far as this little being can see through his decades of practice, through his studies, through his, as honest as I can, interactions with things. These things are not so that I'm a better person than somebody else. These are because I want to be a real human being, that I want to be here in the now. And I'm blessed that I've got to know that there are others who want to be here, want to actually live this life, that want this to be not heaven on earth, but the earth itself. The earth is the heaven, when lived with our illumination. And illumination works through coherence, resonance, and transgression in the way that we're talking about it. And of course, the outer wheel of the wheel of life, the conditional links of the chain of conditioned existence, it is the awareness. It's not awareness that interjects into the wheel. It's the awareness of the wheel itself that is the awareness, So you don't need to do any kind of spiritual mind trick to try and kind of understand all this. This is one of the reasons I don't like certain expressions, shall we say, of religions. You don't need to study it, right? Oh, yes, now I know all of these things, as a kind of mental understanding of it, and then you can debate about that. That doesn't mean a damn thing. Knowing from the light of yourself the existence of the wheel, right? Because if you can know the existence of the wheel, then your awareness is greater than the wheel. You are the one holding the wheel. You are Mahakala yourself. You are the one holding the wheel. But you are surrounded by space. There is space within the wheel. And that space is the awareness. But if all you see is, I'm on the wheel, how do I get off the wheel? How do I stop this thing? How do I do this? Stop the wheel, I want to get off, you know? Then you're on the wheel, baby. It's only when you see that you're holding the wheel, not as a mental understanding, but that will do if that's where you begin. You know, I have no problem, well, there's no problem with beginning that way, as long as you bring it down into your heart and then bring it into the greater awareness, and then you realize that there's the awareness that comes before the awareness, that is your actual self, the light of true self, and that the wheel is just there, the wheel is just here. You're not separate from it, you're not it, and you are it, you know? And so, so that's all you got to do. That's perhaps how we might practice in the time of Epstein and Deepak Chopra, and what is now going on thereafter, and is being built right now as well. And you are being shown surfaces of that and reacting to it. But and that is necessary, of course. But can I suggest transgression, coherence, resonance, and transgression against your own limited self is the greatest one of all. And that is only known through the light of true self. Because once you do that, there is no us and them anymore. There is no those people over there. Awareness of the light of true self turns you into the human being. That is the spark that activates the actual human. Before that, you occupy the God realm, or the people sort of doing the best they can but on the conditioned chain of life human realm, or the animalistic human realm, or the monster realm, you know, the demonish people realm, and so on and so on. So we just keep going round and round and round until we become human, and the human and the earth is the heaven itself, you know? Okay, I'm gonna get off this wheel, lovely people. Send messages if you feel like. If you're offended by anything said here, please put it in the comments below. It drives it drives engagement, so that's okay too. And I'll just summarily ignore you. And if you're going that way, and yeah, you know, enough, baby, enough. But maybe we've not had enough, and maybe it has to continue some more until we learn. We don't learn, do we? What's that line by the Grateful Dead? You don't learn what you don't want to know, from Jack Straw. That's it. You ain't going to learn what you don't want to know. That's pretty much it, you know. I'm more of a Jerry guy than a Jack Straw sort of guy. Anyway, love and peace, baby. Love and peace, and resonance, and transgression, and coherence. Okay, open spaces. See you in a second.